SNL, Cody, Stoots, Landry Locker be along here shortly, talking about the Texans and their loss to the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. A disappointing one in a variety of different ways for the Texans. Not only did they lose the game, but it looks like they lost Tank Dell for a significant amount of time, Jimmy Ward for a significant amount of time. Shaq Mason doesn't seem like he's going to play. So a costly loss on a variety of levels for this Texans team throughout the course of this. Let's go through some of the big elements of this one. It's just not nearly enough in Kansas City. I mean, when the Chiefs needed plays, they had things that they could draw up. They had offensive guys that they could trust. They had Hollywood Brown playing in his first game of the season, come in there, immediately contribute. They had DeAndre Hopkins. They had Isaiah Pacheco. They had Kareem Hunt. Like, they just had a multitude of guys that when they needed something, they were able to go to those guys. Of course, they've got Travis Kelce, who's the king of just finding a spot in your defense, sitting down, catching the football. But I think one thing that really sort of demonstrates what the Texans dealt with and the fact that they just didn't have enough is the situation in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, the Houston Texans start the fourth quarter with the ball. And in the fourth quarter, they ran 11 plays. Okay, 2 of those were a kick. That brings it down to 9 plays. 3 of those 9 plays were run plays. On those 6 plays where you need to focus, where you need the strain, where you need to finish, DeMeco Ryans talked about it all week long. On those 6 passing plays, they're charged with a pressure allowed on all 6 of those passing plays. Like, that just goes to show you that at the end of the game, fourth quarter, gotta have it. Fourth quarter, you're still in this. Fourth quarter, you're right there. You got to put points on the board. You got to put pressure on Kansas City, get the ball back. You're right there. And on every passing play in the fourth quarter, they allow a pressure. They make it 24-19. The Chiefs get a field goal to make it 27-19. The Texans end up having to punt after a 3-and-out. A 3-and-out in which they ran the ball for negative yards. They had an incomplete pass, and C.J. Stroud got sacked on 3rd down. Like, it's not good enough to beat a team like Kansas City. Like, the Texans put a performance together yesterday that could have beat a lot of teams that they played over the course of the season. And we've seen it here from the Texans. They can put together enough of a game to win some games. They can put together enough to beat a Chicago Bears team, a Jacksonville Jaguars team twice, a New England Patriots team, an Indianapolis Colts team twice, a Dallas Cowboys team that's without their starting quarterback. But if they don't just get that little extra, you come up short against the Green Bay Packers. You come up short against the Detroit Lions. You come up short against the Tennessee Titans in your house because you just don't have that little extra, that finish, that focus at the end, that strain and finish mentality that DeMeco Ryans preaches. They just don't have that. And they didn't have it yesterday, and they went into the fourth quarter and had an opportunity to push the Kansas City Chiefs a little more. And the Chiefs, okay, they're up by 5. They get the ball, Mahomes over the middle, couple of run plays, Kareem Hunt, kick a field goal, make it 8 again. And the Texans don't even get close to scoring again. Like, they just don't have enough for a team like Kansas City. Now, a lot of teams don't have enough for a team like Kansas City, but the Texans frequently find themselves, be it the defense can't get a stop, can't get off the field, the offense can't move the foot. Like, there's always something that just shows up towards the middle part or back part of the game that this team can't overcome and can't get past. And that showed itself again in Kansas City against the Kansas City Chiefs. A couple of your comments, questions, joys, and concerns. Jay Adams says, I'm so tired of the Texans. We just can't beat good teams. Yeah, their victories over good teams are limited. I mean, obviously they dominated an injured Buffalo Bills team earlier this season and had a really impressive performance against Josh Allen. They had a good half against Jared Goff, but couldn't finish. Like, beating good teams is difficult. And that team that the Texans have assembled and where they are right now just doesn't have that last little bit that they need to get over the hump against good teams. Gustavo with the super chat. Sucks to say this, but CJ is a game manager. I don't know about this, Gustavo. I'm not buying that CJ Stroud is a game manager. That doesn't seem like a take that has enough evidence behind it. Did he have some bad moments yesterday? Absolutely. The interception of Nico Collins, that was not a pass that was going to be completed. The only outcomes on that were incomplete pass or interception. It just so happened to be intercepted. He probably took points off the board with that second interception. He ran out of bounds for a sack when all he had to do was literally just flip the football. Like, let me see. All he had to do was just go. And it would have been an incomplete pass, but he ran out of bounds for a 5-yard sack in the red zone where they're already one of the worst teams in football, and the quarterback runs out of bounds, losing you 5 yards. Like, that's not good. But he also had some moments there where it looked like 2023 CJ, where we were all excited. We all wanted to see what he brought to the table. So I'm not buying the game manager conversation. I'm not buying that is what CJ Stroud is. I certainly understand people have been disappointed with what he's been able to put together this year, but game manager, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that. Landry Locker's here. What's up?
What's up?
I think that it's the epitome yesterday of not being able to do what DeMeco Ryans said they had to do to beat Kansas City. They didn't finish. They weren't focused down the stretch, and all their warts started to show up where Kansas City, just whenever they had a small issue, they overcame it. When the Texans had small issues, it turned into a snowball into an avalanche.
I just think that I would disagree on that because I think that they did what this team is equipped to do to win. Now, is that enough? Probably not. And I'm not one to blame refs or anything like that. I think you have to overcome it. I think it kind of comes with facing the Kansas City Chiefs. But in order for this team to win, the defense is going to have to create opportunities. And a lot of times the defense is going to have to create points. We saw that against Miami where they created 17 points, 17 of the 20 points. And when you go back in that game, there's bad calls and then there's calls that completely change games. When you go back in that game and you had the Texans answer the call against the Chiefs, arguably CJ Stroud's best drive of the season, where they take the lead. And then they have a clear strip sack of Patrick Mahomes. They score the touchdown, and it gets taken away. And not only does it get taken away, it's not like they just called it an incomplete pass. It turns into an explosive play for Kansas City. And then you have two more bad calls right after that with the Jimmy Ward, which, by the way, Jimmy Ward ends up getting hurt on that series as well. He's a pretty important piece. And then you have the Derek Stingley. You have to overcome bad calls. This team is not equipped to handle bad calls. But realistically, you look at that. That's the defense giving you 7 points. That's the defense giving you a 10-point lead. That changes the entire way in which this game is played, and the Texans can't overcome that. And even later on in the game, in that half, you had a situation where the Texans get a sack to sack Kansas City out of field goal range. And they end up calling another bogus penalty, and Kansas City goes up there and gets 3 points. So you basically swung the game by 17 points, and you're still within a possession. Like in a perfect world, if this were a good Texans team, you would be able to perhaps overcome that. And they did actually come back and tie the game. But a lot of people complain about refs. I'm usually the one that's like, I don't think that decided the game. I absolutely think with the way that this Texans team plays, with the things that they have to do, and with the magnitude of that call, I think the refs gave them no chance yesterday against the Chiefs. That was as bad as it gets.
Yeah, the referees didn't decide the game for the Texans, but it certainly gave the Chiefs far more opportunities to continue to do what the Chiefs do, which is operate efficiently and make just enough plays to either get a field goal or take advantage of your mistakes and find yourself with an opportunity to score. I mean, you got Xavier Worthy talking about it post-game where he's like, yeah, I knew they were in zone when they called out zone. And so, okay, well, that's a mistake you can't make. And then Xavier Worthy's ready to, take it into the end zone from Mahomes. So it's like, Kansas City's going to take advantage of your mistakes. They don't need any help. The refs gave them plenty of help yesterday, though. Plenty of help.
Yeah, and I mean, I have no issue with the way the defense functions. So I don't know who would have yelled zone or anything like that, like as far as what Worthy is saying, but as far as the defense, that's the least of my concerns.
I mean, look, we were worried about the Kansas City, or Kansas City was worried about their tackles, and it just so happens that Joe Thuney is a all-world offensive lineman. He's not just a guard. He previously played center, but he bumped out there to left tackle. He didn't have any problems, and they spent $80 million on Jawan Taylor, and he finally looked like an $80 million tackle. And like their tackles did a really good job, and then their interior guys, they got one of the best centers in football, and they got one of the better right guards in football. So they took care of business from an offensive line standpoint, making it tough on that defensive line to do what they usually do to quarterbacks. So there were times where they did make Mahomes uncomfortable, and they did have to, or Mahomes did have to adjust to them. But eventually, they started to figure out, especially after Jimmy Ward was gone. Okay, bing, bang, boom, get the ball out fast, get short pass. Oh, there's Travis Kelce sitting in the middle of the field for 5 yards and just keeps going up the field or falls down at the first sign of contact. And they keep the train on the tracks and they keep the thing moving. It's tough to stop a Kansas City defense. Like it's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes. They had a really good performance, and the offense didn't do their part when they had their opportunities.
And there are context clues, by the way. Like if you don't think Hollywood Brown's going to be a factor for them, you're crazy. Like that he's going to make some big plays for them when it matters. Their offense is going to get going probably better than it has lately. So yeah, there's just not a lot of margin for error for this Texans team. You can't throw the interception that CJ did at the end of the first half. I mean, you just can't do that. Like jumping in the air and throwing it down. Now you have questions about Tank Dell. And we can get into that. I actually have five offensive things from KC, a little double entendre there about the offense, because they're watching, even when they do good things, it generates frustration. That's how disgusted this offense makes me. And just the whole way in which they function, it just completely disgusts me when they do things. And I'll just give you 5 things to just kind of juggle with the offense. 5 things from Kansas City. And I want to start with number 1. We saw Tank Dell doing his thing. Hopefully Tank Dell's okay. But where was this Tank Dell before? And I'm not saying it's one thing. I'm not saying it's all the coaches. I'm not saying it's all him. I'm not like, but where was this before? And I know what's going to happen now is, and this is what they'll hope. In the building, they'll hope that now all of a sudden it just turns into, man, we had all these receivers, we had all these guys go down on offense, and we lost Stefon Diggs and we lost Tank Dell. Tank Dell was a non-factor more times than he was a factor before yesterday. And again, don't look at this as like one thing or the other. But when I saw Tank Dell do what he did yesterday, it just, instead of just saying, oh, this is great to see, part of me, just because the way this offense functions, it just wondered, where the F has this been before? So that's the real frustrating thing, is that you see this going down, you see this happening, and it's like, where was this before? And don't shift what you've seen with a large sample size. This offense has never clicked. Even when they were winning with Stefon Diggs, it was, yeah, we left some meat on the bone. That was Stefon Diggs' message himself. Even when Tank Dell was still in there, there were times where he was a non-factor. So don't give them a free pass and look at this as, oh, we just can't overcome these injuries, because this was one of the worst second half offenses in the NFL before. And I just watch it and I just say, where the hell has this been?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they got some decent protection early in this game, and I feel like that let them operate the offense. And so
we'll get to that.
We talked about this last week with Tank Dell, like the get him ready conversation. Like, how do you get him in there? He operates best when they can actually run the play as designed. And they got some blocking early, and they were able to run the play as designed. And Tank was out there getting his 2023 version of Tank Dell on. And they have not been able to find that for any stretch beyond just a tiny bit over the course of this season.
Mushroom 713 says Bobby can't call plays and out schemed with only Nico like last year in the divisional. I expect overhaul on offense. No more buddy if he can't produce. Hey, you're preaching to the choir on that one. I mean, you're absolutely preaching to the choir. I don't know how they assess offensive players. It's damn sure not the same as defensive players.
I would tell you right now, if you're hoping Avi Slowick is not the offensive coordinator next year, I just prepare for disappointment.
Yeah, well, they need to at least look at the personnel too. Again, it's not just one thing. Number 2, and this one's kind of getting in the sticks, the mystery of Kendrick Green. Look, I don't know how Shaq Mason's going to be. I guess Aaron Wilson said that he avoided a serious injury. Am I the only one? And I'm not. I'm sure that guys that watch the tape in the trenches. I'm sure Seth Payne will have thoughts. I'm sure John Harris will have thoughts. Am I the only one that felt like he was better than Shaq Mason yesterday? Like the 2 times that I've seen Kendrick Green has been extreme emergency situations. And outside of a few bad plays against the Jets, and outside and yesterday it wasn't like all perfect. I feel like he's done a good job to the point where I don't understand why there just has to be a massive, massive emergency for this guy to get on the field. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't feel like they missed Jack Mason yesterday. I'll just say that, and I don't understand what's going on with Kendrick Green.
Yeah, early on when Kendrick Green first got in there, I thought it looked pretty good, especially from a couple of the running plays. You think about the screenplay that he had where he flew across from that right guard spot and was over there to make the block over on the left side of the field. I mean, Shaq Mason can't make that play. Like, he can't move like that. Then Kendrick was one of the guys that sort of, as the game went on, it didn't look great, like towards the back end. I mean, he had a nice little performance there at the beginning, but by the time it got to the third, fourth quarter, sack up time, he fell on his face one play, just like didn't even block the guy, and the guy sacked CJ. So like, I get it with Kendrick Green.
So
like,
he looked like Shaq Mason. So he looked like Shaq Mason.
No, Shaq wouldn't have touched the guy. Like, there's good, but there's also like really bad with Kendrick Green. And
No,
I think
for sure. No,
look, I think that's probably. Yeah, no, I think that's their concern.
I'm not saying he's your guard of the future.
Well, and like,
that's
look,
what I don't understand is that
they paid Shaq Mason $1 gazillion, so they're going to play him, when he's healthy.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Number 3, the tight end position. I know Dalton Schultz had a touchdown, but dude, that was all CJ. That was CJ rolling out. Dalton Schultz just kind of sat there, and he happened to be in the right place at the right time. He's just not explosive. He's not worth being one of the highest paid tight ends in the league. I can't believe that they're going to be pleased with this. They've got to, whether it's the kid from Michigan, whether it's the kid from Penn State, hell, whether it's Helm from Texas, like in the 3rd or 4th round, they need to do something about this tight end position. I have zero doubt that Cade Stover's he's going to be a better blocker next year than he was this year, but they need to do something at the tight end position. And this is going to be connected to the previously mentioned frustration. It kind of feels like if you do want to get the most of Dalton Schultz, and by the way, what a big drop on 3rd down he had yesterday after the defense I thought that was kind of the epitome of the whole season. The defense gets a 4th down stop, and then on 3rd down, he drops the ball and prevents them from moving the chains. I thought that was that was the ultimate symbol of the 2024 Houston Texans. But Andrew Beck does seem to, and I know he didn't play a ton, but he does seem to do the things that they want that position to do better than Dalton Schultz. And it almost kind of frees up Dalton Schultz a little bit to do other things, or it could. The Andrew Beck decision looks pretty weird too now. Why they decided to get rid of him so that they could keep the likes of Steven Sims and some of the other guys that they kept around. I'm very confused by that. Like, you can go through every position. Let's just do this real quick. Let's go through every position group on the offense, rapid fire style, and you can say something stupid they did this offseason. Running it back with the original offensive line, with the investment, the Kendrick Green handling, the fact that Kenyon Green couldn't get benched, Titus Howard back and forth, the center position they can't really figure out. Offensive line, we could probably do 3. We could probably do every show this week on that. Tight end position, gave Dalton Schultz the contract that you gave him. Played Cade Stover when it didn't really look like he was maybe even ready to go. Got rid of Andrew Beck after you lost Brevin Jordan, and then we're basically just having a revolving door of what the hell's going on. Wide receiver position. You cut Noah Brown.
Sims.
No, he ended up getting hurt. Yeah, you kept Steven Sims around for God knows what. I don't know what Steven Sims does. And then you got rid of Noah Brown, who was actually a contributor, and you just kept Mechie and Hutchinson around as if that was okay. Running back position, you cut Cam Akers for whatever, or traded Cam Akers for whatever reason, pretty much cut him when he was the only serviceable number 2 running back. Like every position group on offense, they do weird things. And I'm watching Andrew Beck yesterday, and I'm like, okay, this looks better than when Stover and Schultz are doing these things. So why was this not kept around?
Yeah, they also kept British Brooks instead of Andrew Beck too. Like a guy that had never played fullback / tight end. He was a running back in college, and they decided he was more useful than Beck. And it's not like they kept Beck around the organization either. Like he was just gone. Like it's not even like they had him ready to just kind of like, okay, take a roster spot. He looks more comfortable blocking than. I mean, Dalton Schultz blocking is awful. Here's another thing about Dalton Schultz
running routes is awful.
Here's another thing that annoys me about Dalton Schultz. Like, aren't they supposed to be a better offense because Schultz is a part of it? Like, how are they having issues lining up, getting the playoff? Like, there was one time where Schultz was looking at the sideline going like this, like they didn't know what, like, I thought he was supposed to be a helper in that. Like, we heard CJ and Bobby Slowick talk about how important he was to the offense and how he gets things organized and helps it. And then they're out there and they look discombobulated like it was week 1 against Baltimore last year. Can't line up. CJ's doing the, trying to get the ball when it's negative 1 second on the play clock. Like, you got Titus Howard having to signal the center. He doesn't do that. He didn't do it when he played guard. Like, it's just brutal offense. Just brutal offense all around.
Number 4, and this you might spit out. I'm glad you're not drinking your water as I say this. This is number 4. Now, the wide receiver position, it's very thin right now, and they're gonna have to figure something out. And there's no real like ideal solution, but we know the names that are being mentioned. Odell Beckham Jr. Schefter said that he expects Deontay Johnson to be picked up. I know you've been carrying Deontay Johnson's water. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not mocking
carrying
you for
his
it.
water. The guy's got as many receiving yards as Hutchinson, Woods, and Mechie combined.
I know.
And he did it in 7 games. He did it in 7 games with a shitty Bryce Young. Like,
well, the other thing is, I think he could kind of be like when you talk about a Jerry Jeudy reclamation, like on a lower scale, where you kind of revive your career and find your talent. I do think that's an option. So I'm not making fun of you, but this is what's going to happen based on this team. And I want you to just be ready for this. I want you to just be prepared for this. I just want you to understand this is a dumbass operation offensively from Caserio to D'Amico to Bobby Slowick. There's no other way to say it. They function like idiots when it comes to the offense. And that is not unfair. That is a fact. Everything they do, I just laid out, they function moronically on offense. And they function at an elite level on defense. This is what they're going to do. Get ready for this. You know what they're doing at wide receiver. You know this, don't you?
They're going to promote somebody from the practice squad.
They're going to bring Steven Sims back, and he's going to get to play wide receiver.
Oh, God, no.
They're bringing Steven Sims back, and they're going to play him at wide receiver.
No.
Okay.
No, they're not going to do that.
Okay.
I mean, they literally cut him yesterday to play Jared Wayne. They're going to promote Jared Wayne for the practice squad. They're going to put him on the active roster, and then they'll sign.
Tank's gone now too.
And then they'll sign Sims to the practice squad.
Okay.
They're not going to bring back Steven Sims.
Okay.
Certainly not bring him back to. If they bring him back to play wide receiver, then cancel the season. Like that's not good enough. Like, I mean, for like the adding someone to the equation who's not in the building, like that, it's impossible for Wednesday. Like it's impossible. They'd have to already be in Houston today. You can't get Deontay Johnson until tomorrow at 3 p.m. So it's like if you wanted Odell or Kadarius Toney or whoever the hell, what free agent you want, they would have literally had to be in Houston today to like be in the building, sign their contract, like start figuring out how to be a member of this team. Like, but the add to the wide receiver room is not about Wednesday. It's about giving that person an opportunity to get in the building, figure out what they can do. Maybe they play against Tennessee to get their, knock whatever rust they have off of them, and then they can help you in the playoff game. Like they have to add someone that can help them when they play their playoff game. Odell, you're not guaranteed to get Deontay Johnson. So, if you get him, you get him. Somebody. You have to add somebody that can help you in the playoff game. Like the ad conversation doesn't work for Wednesday. They don't have time. Like it's not going to work.
Deontay is interesting because he's closer to his prime than Odell Beckham Jr. and maybe you're going to need a lot of receivers next year. You're going to have to replace Diggs. You're probably going to have to. It's probably going to be one of your top needs. You're going to have to replace Diggs, and you're going to need more receivers than that. So maybe if you can get to where you feel comfortable enough with Deontay to where he can be your number 3 or 4 receiver, because he's better than Mechie and Hutchinson. I'm tired of that crap. Then it's almost like a long term. Odell's just this year and then done. So hell, maybe you bring both of them in. I mean, at this point,
not?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's the other thing. So number 5, and this is just like the CJ Stroud performance in Kansas City was an interesting one, because I think that you can make a case he played his best game.
No. He had moments that were some of the best of the season, but the totality of the game, it was not his best game.
What was his best game then?
It wasn't this one.
And this is not sitting here putting this on a pedestal.
It was Indianapolis at home.
Week 1?
No, Indianapolis at home.
2? Oh.
When they couldn't block, they allowed over 50% pressure, and he threw for 300 yards. That was his best game of the season.
Okay. I think Kansas City was, and I didn't think he was that good.
I mean, Landry, he threw 2 horrible interceptions, and he ran out of bounds for a 5-yard sack in the red zone.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. He's not elite right now. Like he's not. This is not a scale. Like if we were talking about Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, that would be one of their worst games. Like CJ Stroud right now, like we're going into next season, there's not going to be a conversation about if this guy's elite. It's going to be, is he really good? And I know the surroundings contribute to it, but the point I'm trying to make here is I'm not trying to put this Kansas City performance on a pedestal. I know the mistakes were there. I mean, how the hell do you take a sack when you can just simply throw it away? Quinn Ewers did that yesterday. Quinn Ewers is a disaster. He's a mental train wreck. He ran out of bounds and lost yards and threw that. And then the interception, I don't know what he's trying to do there. That looked like an NFL blitz throw. He just jumps up and throws it right down into the guy's stomach, and it leads to 3 more points. The interception before, it sailed. But some of the plays he was making, he had his best drive of the season. And he was making plays. He had his best drive where he found Nico for 30. Then he found Hutchinson. That cameo, you never know when he's going to come through. He finds Hutchinson, moves the chains with Dell. And then he finds Schultz for the touchdown. That was his best drive of the year. And then some of the other stuff he did, like the throw to Tank, and it seemed like he responded. Like this was the first time that I felt like CJ, the save all butts element was there and he was able to do stuff. I'm not saying this was a great performance because I think that CJ Stroud was flawless. I'm just saying there haven't been very many, if we're being honest with ourselves. He's not been good.
No, it hasn't been nearly good enough.
No, and next year, like it's a discussion. And I thought it was premature to talk about the elite this year. I thought he was trying to get there. Like right now, the discussion is he a top 10 quarterback? Like right now, the discussion has gone to, and this is kind of the flavor of the month that happens in the NFL and the year-to-year thing. I'm not completely dismissing it, but now the question is, would you rather have CJ Stroud or Jaden Daniels? Like he's gone down a weight class. Like that magical, rookie season that we sit there and glorify. Now all of a sudden it's, well, I mean, is he better than that? But those are my 5 offensive questions.
It's been a very disappointing season for not only just like what your expectations were for CJ Stroud, but even after you've adjusted and you had to kind of understand what he's playing with and what this season is, he still had disappointing performances.
And I'll just be honest with you. I got something. I got a question about him. Let's hit these supers, but I got a question about CJ Stroud too that I think we need to get into a little bit more. We'll get to it in a sec, but let's get to the soup. Shout out to everyone in here. We appreciate you joining us on SNL. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots. Subscribe on all podcast platforms and subscribe to the SNL channel as well.
Gustavo, why the hell aren't we playing our top 2 cornerbacks on man? Are they not as elite as we talked them up? Missing AI for sure Aziz for sure to lead that defense. I mean, they don't always play their guys man. That's just what happens. They don't play only man or only zone. Stingley got called for a bogus penalty yesterday that extended a drive for Kansas City. That was awful. Kamari had a really nice play on Xavier Worthy. They're moving some stuff around because of Jimmy Ward, so we'll see what they can do with that. Preston, offense doesn't have no identity and no heat period, unlike the defense. I mean, they can't even run the ball anymore. Like they've somewhat fixed the pass blocking, even though yesterday ended up terrible. But they can't even run the ball anymore. So there goes the Joe Mixon identity. So yeah, they're hobbling to the finish line here with the offense. Hobbling. Texan asks, is this who Dalton is? Think about his big drops. I like Dalton Schultz, to be honest, but is he someone we can count on? No, you can't count on him anymore. You can count on him last year a little bit, but no, he's not nearly as good as they expected him to be. No. And finally, Jeremiah Chavez. Dude, Andrew Beck is low-key really good. It was good to see him out there and do a flip, Cody. I mean, you could wait for a long time for that to happen. I can't. I would need massive assistance to be able to do that. We're talking heavy machinery to do a flip. Now, you want to see me flip out, we'll keep talking about this offense, but appreciate everybody with the super chats.
Always trade day. And this will vault into the question I think asked. He says comparing the Texans O to the Commanders O is crazy. He says that's a terrible take, Landry. Let's just look at the stats. The Commanders offense right now, they're averaging 373 yards a game. The Texans are averaging 323. Let's look at the actual the quarterback play. Jaden Daniels is completing 70.5% of his passes. CJ Stroud is I got to go down there a little bit. CJ Stroud, goodness gracious, he is completing 63.2, and that's 27th in the NFL. 27th in the NFL right now. Jaden Daniels has less interceptions. Like everything he's doing is better. And people will say, well, I think the guy followed it up with, well, they have Cliff Kingsbury. Okay, this was the same offense that CJ Stroud was running last year, and that's what's gonna vault me into this question. I just don't really understand if Bobby Slowick deserves all the blame for CJ Stroud when he was the same guy yesterday. Maybe CJ hasn't progressed. And I mean, I think it's a fair question to ask because we saw it last year. It's not like this is a first-year guy. We saw it last year when CJ was the tape. And now you're getting like there's less tape on Daniels. That's true. There's definitely less tape on Daniels. Okay. I mean, I don't think it's that simple. But when you watch the way that this team functions at the line and you watch the way that it just doesn't even seem like they are aware of what's going on. There was a corner blitz yesterday that I know like all these corner blitzes that get hits get lead to quarterback hits, and all these like stunts that lead to quarterback hits. Is some of it on the damn quarterback? Like I just find it hard to believe that it's just all on the offensive line. This was the same exact thing last year. Like the running back's probably supposed to pick it up, but I mean, who's to say that CJ hasn't progressed and he's not figuring out? We just victimize CJ Stroud so much, and he just really hasn't been good. Like, and he doesn't think he's been good. So when I say that Jaden,
he hasn't been anywhere near good enough.
But all I'm saying is when I say the Jaden Daniels thing, I'm not sitting here saying like it's a 100% absolute. I'm just saying like maybe we overreacted to one season of sample size with CJ Stroud. Because I don't think this offense looks as lost with some of the elite quarterbacks in the league. I don't look at CJ Stroud as just a 100% victim. I think that maybe he deserves a little bit more blame than he gets.
I mean, part of it is the situation that we believed was going to lead to all the tide raising all boats. Like we thought Bobby Slowick was going to be good in the second year because he was going to have his quarterback they added to the offense. The offensive line was supposed to be better. We thought the offensive line was going to be better because they finally are putting the guys on that they wanted to put on the field. Like we thought the skill position players were going to be better because they added to it. It was the second year for Tank Dell. It was second year of Nico Collins breaking out. We knew running back was going to be better because they added Joe Mixon. And then it just turns out that the situation as well as the quarterback, nobody was as good as we thought they were going to be. And it's all kind of taken away from each other. It's all kind of Stroud's not been good enough here. So that keeps them from being good enough here. That the offensive line's not been good enough there. So that keeps them from being good enough there. Bobby Slowick can't run the offense exactly how he wants to run it because they can't block. CJ's not seeing it. I did feel like by the middle of the third quarter on, I was like, okay, Casey's kind of got his number. They've got him rattled. They've got him, not being comfortable in the pocket, not being able to trust those guys. They started blitzing a little bit more. They started getting home a lot more. And then he just never, there was never a bootstrap moment where he just kind of, okay, I'm going to deal with this and make it happen. We saw a lot of that in 2023. We haven't seen it that much in 2024. So I think everything's worse than we thought it was going to be, including the quarterback.
Yeah, it's a number of things. That's my point. He's doing, like I said, I thought he held I thought he had a good game yesterday. I thought he was good. I thought he gave him a chance. I think the refs taking away that touchdown was really the difference in the game because they don't have that much of a margin. I don't like Bobby Slowick as an offensive coordinator. All I'm saying is he was the offensive coordinator last year. So maybe he and CJ both got worse at the same time. But this is not some new system. I think we need to remind ourselves of that. I think it's okay to criticize your quarterback that's on this high of a scale. And we were talking about him knocking on the upper tier. He's down to he's down tiers now. It's a year-to-year league. So sometimes this type of stuff happens. Maybe he does need a new offensive coordinator. Maybe he does need to figure it out. But it's the same system it was last year. And he is not that interception that he threw. And not having to play at the line of scrimmage and not recognizing corner blitzes and all that kind of stuff, it just kind of feels like he's a little bit behind in that too. And maybe that's coaching too. Maybe we need to look at the quarterback coach and offensive line. I don't think CJ needs to be separated from this. And with that said, I thought he played good enough to win yesterday. I thought the recipe for success was laid out. I think the refs took it away on that one drive. I think the game is completely different if it's 17-7. And that's not sitting here talking about just a call that didn't go. No, that's a 14-point shift right there on a team that can't score. And that's what the defense has to do. So I just don't think we separate CJ from this thing. I just don't.
No, and I mean anybody that's given him a pass because of all this, he's not been good enough.
And I can promise you, I know there's a lot of meat watching and meat writing when it comes to CJ. He does not think he's been good enough either. So, I mean, he's not gonna point the finger at everyone else. So I think he knows he's got to be better too. So it's big boy football, and he knows it more than anyone in here that's down there.
Preston with a super chat. CJ definitely needs some accountability. I'm assuming that's what he meant, to slow down, too slow breaking the huddle and play call and take too long. He has no hot route passes when defense blitzes him.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
This offense sucks. I would fire Bobby Slowick yesterday. And I don't like this offense.
Thank you, Preston.
And that's another thing that they talked to all this talk. Well, Cliff Kingsbury's doing this. They interviewed him. They interviewed him, and they chose Bobby Slowick. So that's, you can add that to the previous mention of mishandling the offense.
I mean,
there it is.
You and I had this argument. What was it yesterday, 2 days ago, about who's the next guy calling the offense? How much experience, do you want
Josh McCown?
But I want a guy who's had to grow as an offensive mind before too. Slowick hasn't grown at all. He's probably regressed. But I want somebody who's had to not only called plays before, but had to get better at it before as well. I want somebody.
I want Josh McCown. I want Josh McCown. He's in the system now. It's time. Make it happen. We flirted with this too much. Get Josh McCown in here.
I mean, I'm down for anything different.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, and they need a complete makeover when it comes to the way in which they function on offense. And that's something that they're going to have to figure out because it's terrible. It's just terrible. Those screens, they had that one screen to Mixon, and it's all and you know what bothers me about it is that um they hang their hat on like 1 out of 10 reps. Have you not noticed that with offense? Like Kenyon Green's getting his ass whooped. Well, y'all are focusing on the bad. There was a lot of good reps. Yeah, we made some good plays, but there wasn't this. Oh yeah, we had a nice screen that like for every 5 bad screens there are, they run one, and that's what they're going to hang their hat on. It's literally intermediate Pee Wee football the way that they evaluate the offense and talk about the offense.
Yeah.
Am I being too negative about the offense today?
I mean, what's there to be positive about? And it's not getting any better because they don't have any wide receivers now. So, like, Tank Dell's leg's broken. Like, he's not going to play again this season. Like, Jared Wayne's going to be on the field, or Johnny Johnson, or Xavier Johnson, who nobody's ever heard of. Like, they didn't add anything at the trade deadline. They probably won't add anybody of substance or note here after this Tank Dell injury. They can't pass block. They can't run block. The offensive coordinator calls screenplays over and over and over again that go for negative plays when the head coach sits there every Monday and Wednesday and says, we can't take negative plays. So what does the offensive coordinator do? After the first screenplay goes for negative yards, he runs another one later in the game. Guess what? Negative yards. So after 2, because maybe it was just a mistake on 2 of them, maybe we'll just run a third one. Then it'll work. Nope. Negative yards. Then after 3 times, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I'm a freaking idiot. After 3 times, they ran a 4th one. Guess what? Didn't work. And I got people in my mentions saying, oh, well, Nico didn't go with the blocking. Well, Nico shouldn't have to go with the blocking because you shouldn't be running that freaking play. Like, I can't understand how they can't just keep calling the plays that work, and they just decide to just go and do all this crap that doesn't work. They get in a rhythm, and then they just throw themselves all the way off the rhythm. Like, there's no sense to it. It makes no sense.
Well, they ask guys to do stuff that they can't do. It's the most square peg round hole offensive operation, and they don't do it on defense. Like, let me put it this way: if Bobby Slowick, or if they functioned on offense the way that they do on defense, the way that they do on offense, with Jalen Petrie going out and then Jimmy Ward going out at that nickel position, they would probably, like on offense, they would probably just say, hey, Jeff Okudah, go do what Jalen does. Go do what Jalen and Jimmy were doing. Jeff Okudah, go ahead and get out there and do that. MJ Stewart, get in there and do that. Like, because they're asking Dalton Schultz to do stuff that, like, Kyle Juszczyk is asked to do. And it's like, dude, no, everybody in the world knows that Dalton Schultz is not a good blocker. He knows that. But they don't adjust. And I'm not sitting here saying there's like some adjustment that I can lay out. I feel them that they don't have personnel, but they don't do that on defense. Like, we're not going to see MJ Stewart or Eric Murray or Jeff Okudah or whoever else, Miles Bryant, go in there and try to do what Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie were doing. They're going to play to the strengths.
Yeah.
And maybe this means we see more Andrew Beck, and it frees up Dalton Schultz to where he can move like a 14-year-old golden retriever and go out there and try to catch a pass. Maybe that's what they do. But that's the frustrating thing on offense, is you're asking these guys to do things that they don't do well. And Robert Woods, Robert Woods is Deebo Samuel to them.
Like when they used to ask, I mean, they won't ask him anymore because he's hurt, but when they used to ask Shaq Mason to fly across the formation and pick up a blitzing player and like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they ask guys constantly to do stuff that they are not capable of doing. A couple of super chats here, Landry. Texan says, even Patrick Mahomes' numbers are not great this year, and their offensive numbers look just like ours because they have a bad offensive line. Okay, well, their guy can hit a guy over the middle. And the offense is there to be able to hit him over the middle. And their defense is one of the best in the league. So, I mean, we could stop doing the compare to the Chiefs thing because the way that they've operated on offense and defense has won them 13 games this year. So
Yeah, if you're trying to grab Patrick Mahomes' stats and pull them next to CJ's as like some way to make you feel better, then you're wasting your time just watching Texans games. Don't let stats kind of blind you. They find different ways to win,
I mean,
and
like
they
how
put
many
themselves in position.
did the Texans know you can throw the ball to the middle of the field? Like,
No,
I
and
feel like that's the only place Mahomes throws the ball. It's like right in the middle of the field where
did you see
just
Coach Steve Dent put out like a rant about like one of the plays where they're too deep and they're running posts on the opposite side. Like it's Dell and Nico. They're running posts into each other.
right with the safeties over the top and the corners with them. So they basically run into two. They both run into double coverage, and then they have two guys out in the flats, and then they have to keep the running back in to block because the offensive line sucks. Thank you, Texan, for the super chat. Gustavo, anybody want to buy a playoff ticket? Don't feel like going to see us get beat. This just brings up my point. Should have brought in an offensive head coach. Okay.
Well,
we're D'Amico's the problem now. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, it does seem like whenever there's an unbalance of offense and defense and it's not lined up, I think that reservation kind of
Here's the
emerges.
thing. He's just got to be able, like, you can't hire your friend. Okay. Like, you got to be tough on your friend. You got to fire him. You got to get rid of him. And you got to go out there and you got to make a tough decision. You think it was easy for John Harbaugh to fire Greg Roman? Like, it wasn't easy. You know what he did? He fired him, and they got way better on offense because he went out there. He had an exhaustive search. He grabbed one of the better college minds around, and now they put up points at will in Baltimore because John Harbaugh fired his friend. So you know what D'Amico Ryans has to do? He has to have a very difficult conversation. He has to fire his buddy, and he has to go out there and maybe get somebody you haven't worked with before because not everybody has to be from the same damn tree, okay? And if you want to buy Gustavo's playoff ticket, you can get with him in the chat. Dom from Jersey. I've watched Stroud yell kill and audible into a run game that's a loss for 7 to 8 times this year. He's losing. Dom from Jersey.
Oh, wow. He went third person, too. Shout out to Dom.
I mean, look, Stroud's not good enough at the line of scrimmage. The play calls, the audible, the whole design of the damn thing is awful. Preston with the super chat. Not enough dogs on offense like defense. Damn it, that game.
I don't know. Joe Mixon's a dog. CJ's a dog.
Yeah, but
Nico's a dog.
Yeah, that's it though.
All right.
I mean, they had
Right.
that's it. I mean, they don't have any. I mean, like Joe. I'm looking there. I'm watching Joe Tooney play left tackle yesterday. Basically, second game in his career. He's been in the NFL for however long, and he's finally playing left tackle. And he goes out there and just totally shuts down the pass rush on that side of the offensive line. And it's like,
but he's a great though.
I understand that, but like, I just think about like like he's clearly capable of doing that. And it goes back to like they ask him to do some basic stuff they can't do. Like, but yeah, the Chiefs got a bunch of monsters over on offense. The Texans don't. One more super chat here. Dom from New Jersey. I'd rather listen to Ron Hughley talk all day than watch Dalton Schultz play football. Well, now you're just being pedantic.
Looks up pedantic.
Yeah, I don't even know if I used it right, but it sounded right.
Hey, well, yeah, you won't get checked by me. Let's talk about the other side of the rock. Jimmy Ward, that's a big loss right there, my friend.
I'm clueless as to what they can do. I'm clueless as to what they can do.
I mean, I think we'll see more traditional linebacker sets. I don't know. Eric Murray had a good game yesterday. I don't think they're going to use him like that. And then what do you do at safety? Like they're going to have to get creative. I am confident though that they're going to put themselves in the best position possible. Now, does that position mean that the defense doesn't inevitably struggle? Don't know, but I'm in that position. We haven't gotten word on Jimmy yet, right? But we know what happens with Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy gets hurt.
It looked like he broke his foot to me. Nobody said that, but that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, Jimmy gets hurt, and we've known that. And that's another thing. Like, if we want to, like, that extension was weird. Like, it was a little bit weird when they did it. But I mean, that was the whole thing. And I wonder now, like, how do you approach the Baltimore? I mean, your dependency on Mixon is so big, and getting the 3 seed. If you beat Baltimore and Tennessee, you win you get the 3 seed, but that means you go to Buffalo instead of Kansas City. I would still rather face Kansas City in Kansas City than Buffalo in Buffalo. And I wouldn't pick them to win either one of them. But if you gave me the choice between the better matchup, I would take KC instead of Buffalo.
Which advantage do you want to deal with? The weather and being capable to play in that weather in Buffalo, or Kansas City and the referees?
Yeah. And the weather too. Probably
and the weather.
Pretty hot.
Yeah. I mean, it's only going to get colder in Kansas City. Like if you're back there in, I guess it's 3 weeks now. Like if you're back there in 3 weeks, it's not going to be warmer. Like,
are you in the ice up team, or do you try to get 3?
Here's my big question. Why are we talking about the second round of the playoffs when we're not sure they can get through the first round? Like this 4-5 matchup, somebody's going to come to town.
Here's the reason.
Somebody's going to come to town and punch you in the mouth.
No. Here's the reason. And this is where this kind of gets lost when we've had this discussion. This is the reason. I'm not sitting here trying to lay out the best path. I'm just saying that in order to be best equipped to play in that first round matchup, you need to be healthy. Furthermore, I don't know that the payoff of winning that 3 seed is high enough to where it's worth pushing guys like Joe Mixon, like Nico Collins, especially given the fact that now you don't have Tank Dell and you don't have Jimmy Ward. So that's my point. It's more so about is the reward for getting the 3 seed, is it worth the risk? It's a risk reward of pushing guys. And I think at this point, the answer to that should be no. I mean, it should 100% be no. Like I would almost not even want to see Joe Mixon play until the playoffs, like at this point. And maybe see if you can get something going with the backup running backs or something, like, and see if they can get something going, or try to get other guys acclimated. I would shut down Nico Collins and Joe Mixon at this point until the playoffs. Hey, get it as high as possible. Practice, we can figure some stuff out, but whichever wide receiver you bring in, whether it's Odell, whether it's Deontay, try to get them on the same page with CJ Stroud as much as possible, and then just sprinkle those 2 guys in, because you've already lost one of what I think is your 3 or 4 most important guys heading into the playoffs in Jimmy Ward, because he completely changes the manner in which they play defense. So now your dependency on Joe Mixon and your dependency on Nico Collins is such to where give them a 2-week rest to where they're just foaming out the mouth. Bring in Deontay Johnson. Hell, get Wayne going. Get whoever the hell else you got to get going at receiver, which is hellacious for CJ Stroud. This is almost like the Jets game last year. But get them going and get them acclimated and see if you can get them rolling and get to the playoffs and ice up. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Bobby Sloak try to coach out of a situation where the 2 best offensive players have been resting for a couple of weeks. I'm sure he'll be excellent at that. Be awesome.
I didn't think Bobby was. I mean, he wasn't good yesterday, but
4 screens. 4 screens.
Yeah, I don't. They love Robert Woods on screens, man. And I think there's that. Like Robert Woods is kind of crafty out of the slot at times, and by crafty I mean not. I don't know what crafty, like I don't know. Sometimes he'll, but the screen to Robert Woods is just, that is crazy to me. I don't even know how you even, like, if you're gonna do that, like I would almost rather just like see like Daria Gumbawale and that's sad too. But I mean, what Robert Woods screens are just that is bananas.
Couple super chats. This game was a clinic on bad officiating. Yeah, it was not
100%. They cost you the game. Like that you might not. You got to overcome it, because that's just what happens with the Chiefs. They just get the calls, but no, it cost you the game. Like it eliminated any chance of winning the game on that one drive. 100%. Your defense, dude. We would be talking about the defense scoring a touchdown and a 10-point lead. They won. The refs won. When I say they cost you the game, I'm not saying you would have won no matter what, but in order to win, the Texans need to create situations like that where The defense is forcing turnovers and they're making it easier on this offense that we've talked about. So they eliminated any chance you had at winning that game.
Even if they don't want to say that even if they want to say it's an incomplete pass and it wasn't a fumble, like the bogus penalty, it wiped out a third down. Like the defense did their job a couple of times and the referees helped the Kansas City Chiefs. Gustavo says, I won't be surprised if NRG is empty come playoff time.
Gustavo's down. I always love
Gustavo's way down.
Gustavo's energy. He's sad, man.
Well, I mean, it's not like they finished in like they finished with like a whirlwind at the end of last year. Remember the Browns came into town, curb stomped them, and then they were playing the Browns again, but they still had a lot of people there.
That's another thing that I kind of another reason, like if we are talking second round matchup, I would rather see Kansas City, and that's crazy. I wouldn't pick the Texans to beat any of these teams in the playoffs at this point. Crazier things have happened, but I'm not picking them. But I would. I
mean, I would tell you,
him get a second crack at KC.
I would tell you that it's. I would say based on the way the schedule is shaken out here, that it's likely that you're going to get Pittsburgh instead of Baltimore.
Yeah, and that's good. The dream layout right now for me is you lose to the Ravens because you're resting everyone up. Like if we're just talking about the path, just for the sake of talking about the path, you lose to the Ravens and then you get to rest, and then you get the 4 seed, and in the second round you go back to Kansas City. Probably lose. Probably don't even win your previous playoff game, but for the sake of the path, and then Baltimore and the Bills have to meet each other, and you just see what happens there.
You get Baltimore in the AFC Championship in a rematch. All right, I'm in. Sign me up. Sign me up. For sure. Keep his job if that happens. For sure. Ugh. Goodness. But yeah, I mean, look, Pittsburgh's not going to be easy if you get. I mean, Pittsburgh's got Kansas City, and the Bengals. Baltimore's got the Texans and the Browns. So Baltimore's got the easier path to the finish. They've got to get better in they've got to get better in win percentage in conference games. So Pittsburgh plays 2 AFC teams. If they lose the next 2, Baltimore wins the next 2. Obviously, then the records aren't going to be the same, but Baltimore can easily catch Pittsburgh, and they'll be the 3. Pittsburgh's the 5, and you get a 4-5. And I don't know. I guess CBS tries like hell to make that their game in Wild Card Weekend, so they can have JJ associated with it.
I don't know if he wants, so that he can get the Pittsburgh
so it could be,
Texans.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit of both.
JJ overload.
Yeah, Watt overload. So, couple super chats here before the end. Joshua, just with a super chat. Appreciate you. Joshua McCormick. Cool breeze. Why do we not have a hard count package? And then I think at the end,
what's a hard count?
And then at the end, I think we put OBJ. I guess he's saying like CJ never does like a hard count to try to draw somebody off sides.
Yeah, they don't do a lot. There's not a lot of pre-snap going on there.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's like watching somebody, it's like somebody Xeroxed Kyle Shanahan's playbook and then tried to add a spin on what they think is better. And it's all just like, they don't have the intricacies of the fine tuning for the stuff that they do run. That's a copy. And then the new stuff it sucks. Xerox. Yep. What am I, 900 years old? Xerox. Look Bobby Slowick. Look what Bobby Slowick's done to me. I'm gray. I have grays now because of Bobby Slowick.
Bobby Slowick's doing it like that, huh?
Yep.
All right, man. Well, not the most fun. Playoffs still in front of us. Hopefully they're resting up.
What do you think D'Amico's going to say at 1 today?
We're really, really sad about Tank Dell. It looks like Jimmy's going to be done. We'll see what we're going to do with the offensive line. We're going to see how everyone's feeling and go play Baltimore. and this is still a good football team, and we've got to keep on trucking and push forward and try to make the best of the situation. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. Everybody's dealing with different stuff in different ways. So Lamar's a good quarterback. Yeah, he's really explosive. And we're looking forward to playing on Christmas Day.
Got a quick turnaround. Got to get our body right. Probably a little of that. All right. That'll do it for SNL today. Landry's on the road. Christmas vacation for him, and I'm headed over to NRG Stadium to talk to D'Amico. I might be the only person there. Everybody else went to Kansas City. Are they back yet? I might be the only person there.
Well, then take advantage of the 12 minutes, man. Take advantage of the 12 minutes.
What did you think of the screenplays, D'Amico? All right, hit him with the slogan.
All right. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.